The morning sun cast long shadows across the lunar surface as Admiral James Cooper stood at the observation deck of Luna Command. His weathered face reflected in the reinforced glass as he watched Earth rotate slowly in the black void of space. 30 years of service in the Earth Defense Fleet had taught him to trust his instincts, and right now, every fiber of his being screamed that something was wrong. "Admiral, we have multiple unknown contacts appearing beyond Mars orbit," reported Officer Tom Wilson, his voice steady despite the tension in the command center. "They just appeared, sir. No conventional drive signatures." Cooper straightened his blue uniform and walked to the main display. The holographic screen showed 15 ships, their designs unlike anything humanity had ever built. They were beautiful in a way, all curved lines and shimmering metal that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. "Status of the defense grid?" Cooper asked, his eyes fixed on the approaching vessels. "All automated platforms are tracking the vessels, sir. Mars Defense Station reports ready, and the Titan base has gone to yellow alert," Wilson replied, his fingers dancing across the control panel. The largest of the unknown ships, nearly 2 miles long, began broadcasting on all frequencies. Cooper nodded to the communications officer, and the message filled the command center. "People of Earth, we come as representatives of the Galactic Empire, bringing greetings and an invitation to join our grand civilization." The voice was perfectly translated into English, yet something about it felt artificial, processed. Cooper's eyes narrowed as he studied the tactical display. Behind the apparent beauty of the alien ships, his trained eye caught details others might miss. Weapon ports cleverly disguised as architectural features, shield emitters masked as decorative elements, and targeting arrays hidden within what appeared to be viewing windows. "These aren't diplomatic vessels," he muttered. "Get me a direct line to Earth United Council. Priority 1. While waiting for the connection, Cooper ordered a detailed scan of the alien fleet. The results confirmed his fears. Each ship carried enough firepower to level a small continent, and their hulls were made of materials that didn't match anything in Earth's database. The main screen shifted to show Council Chamber in Geneva, where 12 representatives from Earth and its colonies had gathered for an emergency session. Head Counselor Mary White's face showed concern as she addressed Cooper. "Admiral, your assessment." "Counselor, while they're broadcasting peaceful intentions, these ships are built for war. The weapon systems I'm seeing, they're not defensive. They're designed for planetary bombardment and orbital superiority." The alien fleet had now passed Mars orbit, maintaining a steady course toward Earth. 2 smaller vessels broke formation and headed toward the Mars Defense Station, supposedly for what they called a diplomatic exchange. "Look at their approach vector," Cooper continued, highlighting the tactical display for the Council. "They're positioning themselves to cover every major population center on Earth. This isn't first contact, it's a show of force." As if confirming his words, the alien fleet's commander transmitted again. "We look forward to integrating Earth into our empire. Our assessment teams will begin evaluating your civilization's development level to determine appropriate protection protocols." Cooper's jaw tightened. Protection protocols? That's military speak for occupation strategy. They're not even trying to hide it. The council chambers erupted in urgent discussions. Cooper watched as more data poured in from the sensor networks. The alien ships were scanning everything: defense installations, power plants, population centers, and resource deposits. "Admiral," Officer Wilson called out, his voice dropping to a near whisper, "we're detecting energy builds up in their weapon systems. They're not powering up to fire, but they want us to know they can," Cooper finished. Classic intimidation tactic. Head Counselor White's voice cut through the tension. "Admiral Cooper, you have authorization to implement Defense Protocol Omega. Do not fire unless fired upon, but make it clear we're not helpless." Cooper allowed himself a small smile as he gave the order. Across the solar system, automated defense platforms emerged from their hidden positions. Quantum sensors activated, and gravity manipulation fields came online. Earth's invisible defense web, built over decades of preparation for this very moment, hummed to life. "Send this message to the Imperial fleet," Cooper commanded. "Welcome to Saul system. We acknowledge your arrival. Be advised, all military vessels must maintain a minimum distance of 1 astronomical unit from Earth. This is not a request." The first move had been made. Humanity would show the galaxy that Earth wasn't just another conquest waiting to happen. The Imperial ambassador's shuttle descended through Earth's atmosphere like a falling star. Lieutenant Anna Wright watched from the United Council's Security Center in Geneva as their tracking systems followed its path. The ship's surface seemed to ripple, adapting to the atmospheric friction in ways that defied Earth's understanding of physics. "All defensive measures are in place," she reported to Admiral Cooper, who stood beside her. "We have 4 automated platforms tracking the shuttle, and the quantum disruption field is ready if needed." The shuttle landed with precise grace on the designated pad outside the council building. A figure emerged, tall, humanoid, wearing flowing robes that shimmered with an inner light. The Empire's ambassador, who called himself Lord Marcus for easier human communication, moved with an unnatural smoothness that reminded everyone present that despite his appearance, he wasn't human. "Fascinating choice," Lord Marcus said as he entered the council chamber, his voice carrying an artificial perfection. "Most species greet us with their military leaders. You choose to meet in a civilian facility." Head Counselor White rose from her seat. "On Earth, the military serves the civilian government, Ambassador, not the other way around." Lord Marcus's lips curved in what might have been a smile, but his eyes remained cold. A charming perspective. "However, we must discuss more important matters." He raised his hand, and a holographic display filled the center of the chamber, showing thousands of worlds glowing with imperial colors. "The Galactic Empire spans 3 spiral arms of the galaxy. We bring order, protection, and advancement to all civilizations under our care." His words carried the weight of rehearsed diplomacy. "Earth has 2 choices: accept our protection and join the Empire as a protectorate, or face complete isolation from galactic society." Lieutenant Wright noticed something in the hologram, subtle markers next to certain worlds. She quietly activated her data pad, running pattern analysis software she had developed. The results made her blood run cold. "Question, Ambassador," Wright spoke up, earning a sharp look from some council members for breaking protocol. "These worlds marked with red indicators, they're mining worlds, aren't they?" Lord Marcus's expression flickered for just a moment. "Resourceful observation, Lieutenant. Yes, those worlds contribute raw materials to the Empire's expansion." "And the blue markers?" She pressed, knowing she was onto something. "Those would be labor worlds." The temperature in the room seemed to drop several degrees as Lord Marcus turned his full attention to her. "You misunderstand. Those are developmental zones where populations are given meaningful work contributing to the Empire's prosperity." Admiral Cooper stepped forward, his voice firm. "You mean slave worlds, Ambassador. Let's not dress it up." The hologram shifted, showing Earth's solar system. "Your species is remarkably direct, Admiral." "Very well. Earth has significant mineral resources and a large population suitable for imperial labor programs. Under our protection, you would be required to meet certain quotas. This is non-negotiable." Head Counselor White's face hardened. "And if we refuse, then you will be cut off. No trade, no cultural exchange, no access to imperial technology or star maps. Your species will remain trapped in this single solar system, alone in the dark." Lord Marcus spread his hands. "Is that what you want for your people?" Lieutenant Wright had finished her analysis. She passed her data pad to Admiral Cooper, who studied it briefly before speaking. "Ambassador, our analysis shows that every world that initially refused your protection eventually joined the Empire within 5 years, usually after mysterious accidents or disasters befell them." Lord Marcus's artificial smile widened. "The galaxy is a dangerous place. Many civilizations learned this the hard way. The council chamber erupted in angry murmurs. Head Counselor White raised her hand for silence. How long do we have to decide? The Empire is generous. You have 48 Earth hours. Lord Marcus turned to leave, his robes flowing like liquid metal. At the door, he paused. Consider carefully. The Empire's patience is not unlimited. After the ambassador departed, Lieutenant Wright shared her complete findings with the Council. Every world that joined the Empire lost its independence within a generation. Their populations were divided, their resources stripped, their cultures erased. Admiral Cooper looked out the window at the Imperial shuttle rising into the sky. They're not here to protect us. They're here to break us. Head Counselor White stood, her decision already visible in her eyes. Then we'll give them an answer they don't expect. Call an emergency session of all Earth's governments. It's time humanity showed the Empire that we don't break easily. Captain Thomas Reed watched from the control room of Titan Base as 3 Imperial warships approached Saturn's largest moon. Their sleek hulls reflected the distant sunlight, making them look like predatory fish swimming through the dark space. His orders were clear. Show Earth's strength, but don't reveal all their capabilities. Imperial vessels approaching designated testing zone, reported Officer Jane Miller, her fingers moving across the holographic controls. They're scanning our outer defense ring. Reed nodded, his expression calm despite the tension in the room. The Empire had demanded this military assessment, calling it a standard procedure for new protectorates. Everyone knew it was really about finding weaknesses in Earth's defenses. Begin defense pattern Alpha, Reed commanded. Let's show them something interesting. Across the space around Titan, hundreds of small, cube-shaped devices activated. Each one was barely larger than a coffee mug, but together they formed Earth's most advanced defense system. The Imperial ship's sensors swept over them, probably dismissing them as simple warning buoys. The Imperial commander's voice filled the control room. Earth Defense Force, this is Battle Master Smith. Like the ambassador, he used a human name for easier communication. We will now demonstrate proper Imperial combat techniques. Prepare to observe. Reed allowed himself a small smile. We're ready to observe, Battlemaster. Please proceed. The lead Imperial ship powered up its main weapons, the energy readings making the sensors spike. They targeted a small asteroid that had been placed in the testing zone. A beam of pure energy lanced out, turning the asteroid into superheated plasma in seconds. Impressive demonstration. Reed responded politely. Would you like to see one of ours? Without waiting for a response, Reed nodded to Officer Miller. The small cubes around the testing zone hummed to life. They didn't fire any weapons or launch any missiles. Instead, they created something much more interesting. What is this? The Battlemaster demanded as his ship's sensors went crazy. The space around his vessels began to twist, the very fabric of reality bending as Earth's gravity manipulation field took effect. Just a demonstration of basic space-time manipulation, Reed explained calmly. We've created a localized gravity lens. Your ships are perfectly safe, but you'll find your weapons won't work quite right inside it. The Battlemaster, trying to hide his surprise, ordered one of his ships to fire at another test asteroid. The energy beam shot out but curved away harmlessly, caught in the artificial gravity well. Interesting trick, the Battlemaster said, his artificial voice showing the hint of annoyance. But parlor games won't stop a real assault. Reed pressed another button. You're right. That's why we have these. Quantum entanglement fields sprang up around the Imperial vessels. Their engines suddenly sputtered and died. Emergency lights flickered across their hulls as their main power systems struggled against the invisible force disrupting their quantum-level functions. What have you done? The Battlemaster demanded, real alarm in his voice now. Don't worry, it's temporary, Reed assured him. We call it a quantum lock. Your ships use quantum field manipulation for power generation, right? We just adjusted those fields a bit. The demonstration lasted exactly 30 seconds. When the fields dropped, the Imperial ship's systems came back online. They hung in space, seemingly stunned by what had happened. "One more thing," Reed added. He activated the final system. 100 different contacts appeared on the Imperial sensors, perfect copies of Earth defense platforms created by advanced holographic technology, mixed with quantum field manipulation. "Try to guess which ones are real." The Battlemaster was quiet for a long moment. When he spoke again, his voice had lost some of its arrogance. "Your technology, it's different from anything in the Empire's database. We developed everything ourselves," Reed explained. "When you're alone in space long enough, you learn to think differently about defense. We don't need the biggest guns, we just need smart ones." As the Imperial ships prepared to leave, Officer Miller looked at her readings with concern. "Sir, they're transmitting a lot of data back to their fleet." Reed watched the ships depart, his expression thoughtful. "Good. Let them analyze it all they want. They still won't understand how it works. Sometimes the best defense isn't a wall they can't break. It's a puzzle they can't solve." The Empire had come expecting to find a primitive civilization with basic space capabilities. Instead, they discovered that humanity had developed along a completely different technological path, one that made them far more dangerous than anyone had expected. The United Council chamber buzzed with tension as representatives from every human colony gathered for the most important meeting in Earth's history. Council Speaker Robert Mitchell stood at the central podium, his gray hair and lined face showing the strain of 3 sleepless nights spent preparing for this moment. "The Empire expects us to submit or face isolation," Mitchell began, his voice carrying to every corner of the vast chamber. "They believe these are our only choices. They are wrong." The holographic displays around the chamber showed live feeds from every human settlement, from the Mars colonies to the mining operations in the asteroid belt, from the research stations on Europa to the massive Titan base. Billions of people waited for their leader's response to the Empire's ultimatum. "We have seen their true intentions," Mitchell continued, gesturing to Lieutenant Wright's detailed analysis hovering in the air beside him. "Every world that accepts their protection becomes a slave state within 1 generation. Every independent world that refuses them suffers mysterious accidents until they submit." Admiral Cooper stood at attention near the podium, adding his quiet authority to the proceedings. The results from Captain Reed's defense demonstration played on a nearby screen, showing how Earth's technology had surprised the Imperial ships. "But we are not like the other worlds they have encountered," Mitchell said, his voice growing stronger. "Our isolation forced us to develop technologies they don't understand. Our independence taught us to think in ways they can't predict. And our unity." He paused, looking at each colony representative in turn. "Our unity gives us strength they didn't expect." The chamber's main screen showed the Imperial fleet still waiting beyond Mars orbit. Their deadline would expire in 6 hours. "The Empire gave us 2 choices," Mitchell continued. "I propose we give them a third option." He pressed a button, and a new document appeared on every screen. The Saul Mandate. The chamber erupted in murmurs as people began reading. The document was short, clear, and unprecedented in galactic history. "We are not declaring war," Mitchell explained over the growing excitement. "We are not accepting their protection. We are not isolating ourselves. Instead, we are banning them from our solar system." Admiral Cooper stepped forward. "Our defensive capabilities can enforce this. The Empire's ships can't match our quantum disruption fields. They can't counter our gravity manipulation technology. They can't even tell which of our defense platforms are real and which are holograms." Mitchell nodded. "We will trade with the galaxy on our terms. We will interact with other civilizations as equals. But the Empire's military vessels will not be permitted within 1 astronomical unit of any human settlement. Our solar system is now a sovereign zone, freed from Imperial influence." The chamber fell silent as the magnitude of this decision sank in. No world had ever dared to dictate terms to the Empire before. "All in favor?" Mitchell asked. The vote was unanimous. Every colony, every settlement, Every human outpost agreed. Humanity would not bow to threats or submit to slavery disguised as protection. "Send the message," Mitchell ordered. The Saul mandate was transmitted to the Imperial fleet in all known galactic languages. Its message was simple. The Empire's military forces were banned from the solar system. Trade would be permitted only under strict conditions. Any violation would be met with defensive action. "They won't accept this easily," Lieutenant Wright warned, studying the Imperial fleet's energy readings. "Their weapons are powering up." Mitchell's face showed no fear. "They have two choices now. They can accept our terms and deal with us as equals, or they can try to force their way in and learn why that's a bad idea." Admiral Cooper smiled slightly. "They're used to dealing with frightened worlds desperate to join their empire. Let's show them what happens when they meet someone who isn't afraid." As the message reached the Imperial fleet, every human defense system in the solar system activated, creating a web of invisible forces that could stop any invasion. Earth had made its decision. Now they would see how the Empire would respond to being told no for the first time in its history. Commander Lisa Parker stood at her command post on Titan Base, watching the Imperial fleet's reaction to the Saul mandate. The Empire's ships had been still for exactly 6 minutes after receiving Earth's message. Now, they were moving. Multiple contacts breaking formation. Officer Wilson reported from his station at Luna Command, his voice coming through clear on the quantum comm. 15 capital ships on approach vector. They're not even trying to hide their intentions. Parker smiled grimly. They never had to hide before. Route all defense coordination through Titan Base. Let's show them why that was a mistake. The Imperial fleet moved with perfect precision, their ships spreading out in a classic attack formation. Their first transmission was brief. "Submit or be subjugated." "Activate Defense Web Alpha," Parker ordered. Across the solar system, thousands of automated platforms hummed to life. Some were real, others were holograms, and the Empire couldn't tell which was which. The first Imperial ship fired. Its energy beam aimed at Mars Defense Station. The beam never reached its target. Instead, it curved away, caught in an invisible gravity lens that sent the energy spiraling harmlessly into space. "They're powering up their main weapons," reported Lieutenant Gray from the sensor station. "All ships. They're going for a full barrage." Parker pressed a sequence on her control panel. "Initiate quantum lock on their lead vessels." 3 Imperial capital ships suddenly went dark, their quantum power cores disrupted by Earth's defensive field. They drifted helplessly, emergency systems barely functioning. The remaining ships hesitated, their perfect formation breaking. "Second wave approaching," Gray announced. "They're trying to overwhelm our defense grid with numbers." "Deploy the mirrors," Parker commanded. Holographic projectors activated throughout the defense network, creating perfect copies of the Imperial ships. Suddenly, the Empire's fleet found itself firing at its own reflections, unable to distinguish real targets from fake ones. An Imperial commander's voice boomed through the comm system. "Your tricks cannot save you. The Empire has never been defeated." "First time for everything," Parker muttered, then activated another system. Launched the swarm. Thousands of tiny drones, each no bigger than a tennis ball, emerged from hidden bays around Saturn's rings. They moved like a cloud of metallic insects, surrounding the Imperial ships. Instead of attacking, they simply interfered with the ship's sensors, creating a fog of confusing data. "They're firing blindly now," Gray reported, a note of satisfaction in his voice. 3 of their own ships hit by friendly fire. Parker watched as the mighty Imperial fleet, which had conquered thousands of worlds, found itself tangled in a web of gravity fields, quantum disruptions, and holographic illusions. They couldn't target effectively, couldn't coordinate their attacks, and couldn't even trust their own sensor readings. "Imperial vessels, this is Commander Parker," she broadcast. "You have lost 3 capital ships to your own weapons. 3 more are powerless and drifting. Would you like to reconsider your approach to diplomacy?" The response came in the form of more weapons fire, But it was desperate now. Uncoordinated, the Empire's ships were used to overwhelming their opponents with superior firepower. They had no strategy for an enemy they couldn't effectively target. Quantum readings spiking, Gray warned. They're trying to overload their cores to break through our disruption field. Their choice, Parker said grimly. Activate full-spectrum defense. Show them what happens when they push too hard. Every defensive system in the solar system activated at once. Gravity lenses bent space around the Imperial ships, quantum fields disrupted their power systems, and holographic projectors confused their targeting systems. It was like fighting against ghosts who could control the laws of physics. When it was over, 3 Imperial capital ships had been disabled by their own overloaded systems, 2 more had been damaged by friendly fire. And the rest hung motionless in space, their weapons powered down. Imperial fleet, Parker broadcast again. The Saul mandate stands. You are banned from this system. This is not a negotiation. Leave now and inform your leaders that Earth is not like the other worlds you've conquered. We don't need your protection. We don't want your empire. And we're not afraid to stand alone. The remaining Imperial ships slowly turned away, leaving their disabled companions to be towed by emergency vessels that Earth, showing more mercy than the Empire usually did, allowed to approach. Director Michael Stone walked through the neutral meeting station orbiting Europa, his footsteps echoing in the empty corridor. After Earth's decisive defense against the Imperial fleet, the Empire had finally requested proper negotiations. Not demands, not threats, but actual talks. The High Chancellor's ship is approaching, Lieutenant Wright reported through his earpiece. Their weapons are powered down, and they're following the approved flight path. Stone reached the observation deck just in time to see the Imperial diplomatic vessel emerge from the darkness of space. Unlike their warships, this one was smaller and carried no visible weapons. Its surface rippled with colors that seemed to shift between silver and gold. Quite a change from their usual approach, Stone muttered, remembering the fleet of warships that had first entered the solar system. The High Chancellor of the Galactic Empire arrived with only 2 guards, another departure from their usual protocol of overwhelming presence. Stone noted how the alien leader moved carefully, almost cautiously, in the station's artificial gravity. Director Stone, the High Chancellor spoke, using a translation device that gave their voice a musical quality. Your species has achieved something unprecedented in Imperial history. Stone gestured toward the conference room. We simply defended our home, Chancellor, something every species should have the right to do. Inside the conference room, holographic displays showed the solar system and known galaxy. The High Chancellor studied Earth's position, marked now with a clear boundary zone where Imperial ships were forbidden. Your defensive capabilities, the Chancellor began, they follow principles our scientists don't fully understand. How did you develop such different technology? Stone smiled slightly. Isolation can breed innovation, Chancellor. When you can't expand outward, you learn to think inward. Every world you conquered had followed the Empire's technological path. We found our own way. Through quantum manipulation and gravity control, the Chancellor noted. No energy weapons, no massive fleets, just clever manipulation of natural forces. We had to be clever, Stone explained. We knew we weren't alone in the galaxy. We knew someone would eventually find us. So we prepared, but we prepared differently. The Chancellor was quiet for a moment, their color-shifting robes rippling with thought patterns. Other worlds are watching what happens here. Your defiance of the Empire, your ability to enforce the Saul mandate, it changes things. Change can be good, Stone suggested. Perhaps it's time for the Empire to evolve. Trade and cooperation could replace conquest and subjugation. The holographic display shifted, showing the disabled Imperial ships that had been returned after the battle. You could have destroyed them, the Chancellor observed. Instead, you showed mercy. Strength isn't just about destroying things, Stone replied. Sometimes it's about showing there's a better way. The Chancellor's translation device hummed as they processed this. Your species is strange, Director Stone. You ban us from your space, yet offer to trade. You defeat our ships, yet help their crews. You reject our protection, yet offer cooperation. That's what true independence means, Stone explained. We choose our own path. We can be both strong and merciful, defensive and cooperative. We don't need an empire to tell us how to exist in this galaxy. The negotiations continued for hours. They discussed trade routes that would respect the Saul mandate, scientific exchange programs that wouldn't compromise Earth's security, and diplomatic protocols that treated both sides as equals. As the meeting drew to a close, the High Chancellor made one final observation. You know, Director, some would say you are building your own empire, just a different kind. Stone shook his head. No, Chancellor, we're building something better. A future where worlds can be both independent and connected, unique and united. We don't want to rule anyone. We just want to show them they don't need to be ruled. As the Imperial diplomatic vessel departed, Stone watched it disappear into the darkness of space. Earth had not just won a military victory. They had opened the door to a new way of thinking about galactic civilization. The real challenge would be showing other worlds that they too could choose their own path. 1 month after the negotiations, Admiral James Cooper stood in the same Luna Command observation deck where the story had begun. Earth rotated peacefully below, but the view of space had changed. A steady stream of trading vessels now moved through designated corridors, carefully avoiding the clearly marked defense zones. Admiral, Officer Wilson called from his station. The last Imperial military vessel just crossed the outer boundary. Our solar system is officially empire-free. Cooper nodded, remembering the tense days when those same spaces had been filled with Imperial warships. Status of the defense network. All systems operational, Lieutenant Wright reported, joining them at the window. The quantum fields are stable, gravity lenses are active, and our holographic masks are running at full capacity. No one can tell which platforms are real and which aren't, just the way we like it. The main screen activated, showing Council Speaker Mitchell at the signing ceremony on Titan Base. Representatives from Earth, Mars, and all human colonies watched as the final agreement was formally recorded into both human and Imperial databases. The document was remarkably simple for something so historic. Earth and its colonies would remain independent, protected by the Saul Mandate. The Empire's military vessels were permanently banned from entering the solar system. In exchange, Earth would share some of its defensive technology with worlds seeking independence, while allowing regulated trade through specific routes. Incoming transmission from the High Chancellor, Wilson announced. The Imperial leader's image appeared on the screen, their color-shifting robes now including some patterns that looked suspiciously like Earth designs. Admiral Cooper, I bring news you might find interesting. Good news or bad news, Chancellor? Cooper asked, noting how their relationship had evolved from hostile to almost friendly. That depends on your perspective, the Chancellor replied. 3 worlds have already requested similar arrangements to your Saul Mandate. They want to establish their own independent zones while maintaining trade relations. Commander Lisa Parker, joining via quantum link from Titan Base, smiled at this news. Let me guess, they want our help setting up their defensive systems. Indeed, the Chancellor confirmed. The Empire's Council is divided on how to respond. Some see it as the end of our dominion. Others see it as an opportunity for evolution. And what do you see it as? Cooper asked. A lesson. The Chancellor replied simply. Your species taught us something we have forgotten in our rush to expand. True strength comes in many forms. Sometimes the strongest position is letting others stand on their own. The meeting was interrupted by new sensor readings. Director Stone, who had been quietly monitoring the situation, brought up a holographic display. We're detecting ships approaching the outer marker, but they're not Imperial designs. Ah yes, the Chancellor's tone carried what might have been amusement. Those would be diplomatic vessels from other independent worlds. It seems Earth's stance against the Empire has attracted attention. Many wish to learn from you. Cooper exchanged looks with his team. Earth had hoped to maintain its independence, but this was something more. They had become an example, showing the galaxy that there were alternatives to submission or isolation. Forward their requests to the United Council, Cooper ordered. Let's show them there's a better way than empires and protectorates. As the diplomatic ships approached through the designated lanes, Earth's defense network hummed quietly in the background. The quantum fields, gravity lenses, and holographic masks stood ready, not as weapons of war, but as shields protecting the right of every world to choose its own path. One more thing, Admiral, the Chancellor added. Our scientists are still trying to understand how your quantum disruption fields work. Any chance you'll share that secret? Cooper smiled. Maybe someday, Chancellor. For now, let's just say humanity works best when we're keeping people guessing. The sun rose over Earth's horizon, its light reflecting off the hulls of trading ships and diplomatic vessels. The Empire's military ships were gone, banned by humanity's first Galactic proclamation. In their place came opportunities for trade, cultural exchange, and a new model of galactic civilization, one where strength meant having the courage to let others be free. Earth had not just survived its first contact with the Empire. It had changed the very nature of galactic politics, not through conquest or submission, but by showing that sometimes the best way to deal with an empire is simply to tell them no.